Hello there. Today my episode number 8 is all about the backbone of black gold or Ceylon tea, and they are the estate Tamils, and this is a special tribute to their service to Sri Lanka's economy for over a century. Commonly known as Upcountry Tamils, as apart from tea plantation, there are thousands of them who have shifted from estates to towns and cities either for work or running their own businesses, or some are in the heart of Colombo. Therefore, I believe the term Upcountry Tamil is more appropriate to call them at present. I am giving this account about the estate Tamil whose forefathers came from South India and what I have studied and observed since my acquaintance with them for a long period of time. No story on upcountry tea estates or factories will be complete if it does not account some details of the people who contributed towards shaping numerous tea plantations, their factories, bungalows, staff quarters, and of course their own dwellings called lines. The contributions have not been written in blood and sweat alone, as their very souls too have been embroiled in every stage of their lives, closely knitted with the plantations as they lived, worked, even fought and died. The term estate Tamil, also called upcountry Tamil, is a distinct community little known outside Sri Lanka. They plant and grow tea bushes, harvest and manufacture leaves, which gives the finest cup of tea to the world. The best brand of teas like Lipton or Brooke Bond will certainly have been blended with at least a tiny bit of Ceylon tea produced by these people. Sadly, the world knows little of them, their culture, history, and of course their life today. The first Western power to rule part of Ceylon was Portugal. They were replaced by the Dutch, who ruled major parts of Ceylon from 1658 to 1796. First, they controlled only the coastal lands through the Dutch East India Company, which was later gradually expanded inland, occupying large territories in southern, southwestern and western Sri Lanka. By 1665, they had expanded to the east coast. Thus, they were able to control most of the cinnamon growing lands and the points of exit and entry to the island. Processing of cinnamon demanded moderately skilled labor force. Many workers were recruited from neighboring South India. This must have been the first period some of the Indian workers arrived on the island. Let me start their story from the coffee days. The British took over the island from the Dutch in 1802, and by 1815, they brought the entire island under their rule after defeating what remained of the Candian kingdom. They quickly settled down to reap the harvest of Ceylon coffee, which their predecessors planted. By 1820s, coffee planting became a popular garden plant. George Bird became the first to start planting coffee on a commercial scale. After Bird began his coffee plantation in Singapore, Gampala, Governor Edward Barnes also started his coffee plantation in the same area and at Gunnorver near Kandy. You could see coffee plants in Singapore scattered among other plantations and housing settlements even today. There's a quote. George Bird was a pioneer coffee planter and considered the father of coffee in Ceylon. He was the first to plant this crop on a commercial scale. He was the second brother of Colonel Henry Bird, Deputy Commissioner to His Majesty's forces in Ceylon during the governorship of Lieutenant General Sir Edward Barnes, KCB, 1824-1831. In 1820, Mr. George Bird had commenced coffee planting in the Kandy district and in 1824 opened a coffee plantation at Singapore near Gampala. There can be little doubt that the establishment of Singapore estate was the real beginning of what has since grown into the vast plantation industry of the present day, is according to the Planters Association of Ceylon, 1864-1954. By then, Ceylon became famous for its coffee and was the beverage of choice among European elites. This fueled the rush of coffee planting, making investors flock to Ceylon from overseas. Around 100,000 hectares of rainforest was cleared to cultivate coffee in the 1840s. Thus, the term coffee rush was coined to describe this development. Interestingly, the curved knife used in tea estates for pruning tea bushes is called kopikatti in Tamil, meaning coffee knife even today. Some notes indicate coffee blight started to hit the coffee plantations in early 1820s, and according to another account, the disease was first identified in Madul Sima area near Badulla in 1869. The first mention of the coffee leaf disease, Hemilia vastatrix, has been recorded in the Ferguson Directory 1871. Until this time, the British were planting Ceylon tea on an experimental basis, but the death of Ceylon coffee due to the rapidly spreading coffee blight compelled them to start tea planting in a large scale. More and more tea estates were opened up, replacing coffee plantations, since every effort to contain the disease failed to revive the coffee production. It is said of some 1,700 coffee planters, only 400 remained on the island. The rest went back to their home country. Tea growing required very hard-working labor, but the British owners wanted such labor at a cheap price. Very few native Sinhalese were willing to work on the estate. The shortage of manual intense labor threatened to end the tea industry before it really took off. The British controlled most of the Indian subcontinent, including the south during that time. When the South Indians, most of them Tamils, were undergoing severe hardships due to a massive drought in their areas, mass unemployment of farmers prevailed, resulting in mass starvation. The British estate owners saw the answer to their labor shortage. It was so easy for them to import the Tamil workers to work on tea estates. Within a short time, hundreds of thousands of Tamil families from South India started arriving. Mass migration of Tamil families started in 1824 to work in coffee plantations and later for tea plantations, which continued till about 1922. Looking at the history of estate Tamils, I have seen accounts that thousands of families were brought on foot from India up to the Mannar Gulf, crossed into Ceylon by boats and catamarans. Many perished on their way, and those who survived had to walk over 200 miles through jungles. Some died due to malaria and many were attacked by wild animals. Since this is a larger than ordinary story, I have divided this segment into two parts. This is the end of the first part. I will see you in my second part in episode 9. Thank you for watching.